Welcome and thank you for standing by. All lines are in a listen-only mode for the duration of today's conference. I'd like to remind parties that today's call is being recorded, and if you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn today's meeting over to Joni Cremian. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good afternoon, everyone. As Carolyn mentioned, my name is Joni Cremian. I'm an Associate Director in the Consumer Protection Branch of the FDIC's Division of Depositor and Consumer Protection. Thank you for participating in our one-hour webinar this afternoon that highlights the FDIC's resources to help educate and protect your customers from cybersecurity incidents. Specifically, we are here today to provide you with an overview of new resources the FDIC has recently published to help educate bank customers about appropriate steps they may take to help avoid fraud and other cyber threats when using computers and mobile devices to connect to the Internet. If you will turn to slide 2, please. These new resources include 2 new brochures, one for financial institution customers on protecting and maintaining their computer systems, and the other for business customers with tips on safeguarding systems and data. We have a special edition of the FDIC's quarterly newsletter, FDIC Consumer News, that features precautions consumers may take at home and when banking remotely using laptops, computers, smartphones, and other mobile devices, and an expanded cybersecurity website for consumers on FDIC's external website. The FDIC is issuing these resources to coincide with National Consumer Protection Week, which is going on now through March 12th. National Consumer Protection Week is a coordinated campaign by federal, state, and local agencies and consumer advocacy groups to encourage consumers to take full advantage of their consumer rights and make better informed decisions. The FDIC serves as a steering committee member for National Consumer Protection Week. This webinar supports the FDIC's continuing goal of working with FDIC-supervised institutions on regulatory and emerging issues and responding to industry questions. These webinars are designed for bank directors, officers, employees, and other industry stakeholders. Now I'll turn the program over to Susan Baino, Chief of FDIC's Consumer Affairs Section. Susan will provide an overview of what we will be discussing today and why the FDIC is hosting today's webinar.
Thank you, Joni. Please turn to slide 3. As we are all aware, cybersecurity continues to be a concern despite efforts to combat cyber threats. According to the FBI's annual report, in 2014, it received an average of 22,000 consumer complaints per month about Internet scams, frauds, and other Internet crimes, representing over $800 million in reported losses. The FDIC also continues to hear from consumers and bankers through its Consumer Response Center about cybersecurity incidents, which typically involve consumers who are targeted based on their use of online social media outlets, alternative financial products and payment methods, and online banking platforms. Improving cybersecurity protections and awareness benefits financial institutions, bank customers, and regulators. Strong partnerships are essential. Bank customers, including business customers, play a critical role in the cybersecurity protection partnership. Therefore, the FDIC is using the opportunity afforded by National Consumer Protection Week to increase awareness of FDIC resources that can help banks educate their customers on steps to take to enhance cybersecurity. Slide 4, please. During our webinar today, we will first provide an overview of what banks and bank regulators are doing to ensure cybersecurity. Then we will introduce our new cybersecurity brochures, which you can share with your customers. After that, we will describe our new special cybersecurity issue of the FDIC Consumer News, and then talk about how we have revamped our FDIC webpage that includes resources to help your bank's customers avoid becoming a victim of cybercrime. At the end of the presentation, there will be some time for questions and answers. I would like to thank those of you who have submitted questions in advance. We will be accepting additional questions by email during this call. If you do have questions that you would like to transmit at any time during the discussion, please email them to cybersecurity@fdic.gov. We will make every effort to answer as many questions as we can once we have concluded our formal presentation. Now I'll turn the program over to Michael Bernardo, Chief of the Cyber Fraud and Financial Crime Section in the FDIC's Division of Risk Management Supervision, for an overview of regulatory information technology guidance, how bank regulators are working with the industry on cybersecurity issues, and the importance of cybersecurity awareness training. He will also introduce the FDIC's new cybersecurity brochures.
Thank you, Susan. We're now on slide 5. Since 2001, federal law and regulations have required that financial institutions have information security programs to enhance the security and confidentiality of customer information. In recent years, banks should have modified these information security programs to address emerging cyber risks. A bank's information security program should evolve as its operating environment and threat landscape change. An effective information security program is not static and should be regularly evaluated and updated. Most of the guidance issued related to information technology and cybersecurity has been issued on an interagency basis and published by the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council, or FFIEC. For example, the FFIEC maintains an Information Technology Examination Handbook, which is comprised of several booklets, each on a different topic and issued over time. Booklet topics include audit, business continuity planning, electronic banking, information security, outsourcing, and retail and wholesale payment systems. FDIC and state bank examiners also regularly conduct on-site examinations of FDIC-supervised institutions and their outside firms to ensure they comply with these and other regulations. Institutions that don't comply may be subject to enforcement actions and fines. Bank regulators also work cooperatively with institutions that we supervise to alert them to emerging cyber threats and discuss steps they can take to be prepared. For example, in 2015, the FDIC produced an educational video on cybersecurity to help senior managers at banks protect against potential threats. We also work with the other regulators to create a voluntary cybersecurity assessment tool designed to help institutions identify risks and assess their preparedness. The FDIC also publishes periodic alerts regarding cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities. These alerts, which began in 2013, are designed to give FDIC-supervised financial institutions advanced warning of potential vulnerabilities in bank computer systems, as well as tips on how an institution can identify and fix the problem. The alerts are available through the FDIC Connect Secure website offered by the FDIC. I would now like to discuss an important aspect of a strong information security program, and that's security awareness training. Educating consumers about cybersecurity risk is beneficial in making them more aware of how to protect themselves. As bank employees, I'm sure you've all probably had to take periodic security training that warns you against things like clicking on questionable links, opening suspicious email attachments, or visiting questionable websites. Well, bank customers can also expose your bank to these same kinds of cybersecurity risks. That's one reason we have developed the resources we are introducing here today. We want to help you make your customers more aware of the importance of cybersecurity, as one uninformed customer can expose your bank to loss related to a cyber incident. We'll now move to slide 6. And I want to talk about the first new FDIC resource, which is 2 new FDIC cybersecurity awareness brochures. You may find these new brochures helpful to you in getting the word out to your customers about what they can do to effectively combat cyber threats. The brochures, one for financial institution customers and the other for business customers, features many of the same tips and information that is included in the new FDIC Consumer News Special Edition, which we will discuss in a few moments, but is in a convenient, easy-to-read brochure format. The first one, the Cybersecurity Guide for Financial Institution Customers, offers tips to bank customers on protecting and maintaining their computer systems, mobile devices, and connections to the Internet. The Cybersecurity Guide for Businesses focuses more on the cybersecurity needs of your commercial customers. It includes more information on safeguarding systems and data and things to consider in a networked environment. Both of these brochures can be viewed on the FDIC's website. You can also provide links to the brochures from your website. Camera-ready artwork for both brochures is also available, and your bank can download these versions and print them in bulk if you so choose. I would now like to turn the program over to Kirk Daniels, an FDIC Supervisory Consumer Affairs Specialist, who will provide an overview of the main articles in the FDIC Consumer News Cybersecurity Special Issue.
Thank you, Mike. Please turn to slide 7. For those of you not familiar with the FDIC Consumer News, it is the FDIC's quarterly newsletter that offers helpful hints, quick tips, and common sense strategies for readers to use to enhance their financial lives. Current and previous issues of the Consumer News can be found on the FDIC's website at www.fdic.gov/consumernews. A paper edition also is published by the FDIC and is available free of charge. Your customers or employees might be interested in subscribing to the quarterly newsletter. To receive an email notice about each new issue with links to stories, go to www.fdic.gov/about/subscriptions/index.html. To request a subscription or to request single copies of a printed issue, contact the FDIC's Public Information Center at 1-877-ASK-FDIC or by email to publicinfo@fdic.gov. FDIC Consumer News is a good way to provide bank customers with helpful financial information. Banks can post consumer news articles or the web addresses for articles to their websites or include them in their consumer newsletters and account mailers. The consumer news may be reprinted in whole or in part without permission. In addition, the FDIC offers an edition online in a PDF version that looks just like the printed publication and can be easily reproduced in any quantity. Space on the back page, the PDF version also is intentionally left blank so that a bank or another organization can add its name, logo, a special message, and or mailing information. Altering text, however, is not permitted. The special Cybersecurity edition of the Consumer News is a 12-page issue filled with tips and information to help readers avoid a wide range of computer and internet-related financial crimes and problems. This issue was published yesterday. Please turn to slide 8. The first article, Protecting Your Cyber Home, features precautions for bank customers to take at home and when banking remotely with computers, smartphones, and other mobile devices. It reminds consumers to make their account access and financial transactions more secure when logging in through a home computer or mobile device by using strong IDs or passwords that have a combination of upper and lower case letters, numbers, and special characters, and they avoid words that may be easy for a cyber thief to learn or guess, such as birth dates, phone numbers, and addresses. Also, using different passwords for each account so a criminal who gains access to one password cannot log into other accounts. Keeping passwords secret and changing them regularly. Always logging out of accounts before leaving your computer or account screen. And lastly, having up-to-date antivirus software and security software installed on each device. Bank customers with multiple devices may consider using one device for online banking and shopping through secure sites and another for email, games, and social media, as these activities are more susceptible to malware or spyware. The Protecting Your Cyber Home article also offers advice for users of third-party online services that collect information from multiple financial accounts on one website. While acknowledging that these websites can be beneficial to users of the services, we provide these tips to address potential security issues. First, frequently check their bank accounts for signs of fraud. and promptly report errors or fraudulent transactions. Be aware of requirements and liability limits under federal law for reporting electronic funds transfer errors. Promptly install manufacturers' updates to fix vulnerabilities and security weaknesses. Use a firewall program to prevent unauthorized access to their personal computer. Look for indications that the websites they are using are secure. And lastly, be careful of where and how they connect to the Internet. Another main article in the special cybersecurity issue, titled What Banks and Bank Regulators Are Doing to Protect Customers from Cyber Threats, focuses on many of the initiatives Mike discussed earlier. Next slide, please. An article titled How Federal Laws and Industry Practices Limit Losses provides key information regarding the federal consumer financial protection laws and financial industry practices that protect victims from monetary losses that result from stolen credit, debit, and prepaid cards and numbers. Specifically, the article informs consumers that, under federal law, if a credit card number is stolen, but not the actual card, the cardholder is not liable for any unauthorized use. The customer should contact the bank as soon as possible if they discover their debit card has been lost or stolen. Federal law sets a maximum liability of $50 if the customer notifies the bank within 2 business days. If the customer's debit card number, but not the card itself, is stolen, the customer should frequently review their account activity for unauthorized transactions because under federal law, the consumer is not liable for a transaction if they report it within 60 days after their account statement was sent. If the charge goes unreported to the bank for more than 60 days, all funds in the account may be at risk. Although some card networks have a zero liability policy, it's generally better that the consumer remains vigilant about their account activity. Debit cards issued for business use have different loss protections than debit cards for consumers. The Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC, which sets many rules for businesses, requires a standard of ordinary care by the cardholder in order to avoid liability for losses from online fraud. In general, prepaid cards used by employers to pay their employees are covered under the same laws described earlier. General-purpose reloadable prepaid cards currently have no protections limiting liability under federal law. And prepaid gift cards for purchases at stores are typically not subject to federal consumer liability protections. This article also clarifies that FDIC deposit insurance only covers deposits if a bank fails, not for theft from bank accounts, a common misconception. I would now like to turn the presentation over to Heather St. Germain, a Senior Consumer Affairs Specialist, who will discuss how customers can avoid taking the bait of a phishing scam and navigate safely when using social media sites.
Thanks, Kirk. Please turn to slide 10. We've covered the basics of cybersecurity protections, so now let's discuss specific cybersecurity topics such as phishing and pharming. In the special cybersecurity issue of the Consumer News, the article, Beware of Phishing Scams, Don't Take the Bait, explains that phishing is the term used to describe when criminals use fake emails and websites to trick people into providing social security numbers, bank account numbers, and other valuable personal information. This article points out that the most common phishing emails pretend to be from a bank or government agency to lure a potential victim into divulging their personal financial information. For example, the fraud artist might include a graphic copied from the bank's website or a link that looks like it directs the user to the bank's or government agency's site, but actually leads to a fake site. Pharming is a version of online identity theft where a hacker hijacks internet traffic and directs the user to a fake site. If the consumer enters personal information at the phony site, it is harvested and used to commit fraud or sold to other identity thieves. Scam artists may also hack into someone's email account and send out fake emails to friends and relatives. For example, they may send out a fake email claiming that the real account owner has an emergency away from home and might need the consumer's credit card information to return home. To avoid becoming a phishing or farming scam victim, the article offers the following tips and advice for bank customers. Be suspicious if contacted online with a request for personal information, no matter how legitimate the email or website may look. Only open emails that look like they are from people or organizations you know, and be suspicious of any emails or websites that have typos or other obvious mistakes. Remember that no financial institution will email and ask for sensitive information like account numbers and PINs. In fact, many institutions publicize that they will never contact a customer by email or phone to specifically request personal or financial information. Assume that a request for information from a bank where you've never opened an account is probably a scam. Don't follow the link and delete the email. If you receive an email or telephone call saying you've been a victim of fraud and believe it's legitimate, you should independently contact the source and be sure to find an email address or phone number from a trusted website, account statement, or telephone directory. The caller may be sophisticated or using technology to spoof the caller ID, so ask for a name and office location and state you will call them back. If asked for personal information, for example on a pop-up screen, or to install software or an update, check it out before complying by researching and contacting the supposed source by using an email address or telephone number that you know is valid. Please turn to slide 11. More tips and information about protecting personal information from phishers and scammers can be found in the article Using Social Network Sites. Be careful what you share. This article explains that con artists use social media sites such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, and Instagram in hopes of learning enough information to figure out passwords, access accounts, or commit identity theft. As a result, cyber criminals who have obtained passwords may be able to successfully answer challenge questions once they know information such as mother's maiden names, dates or places of birth, high school mascots, or pets' names, and then can access financial accounts, transfer money, or even reset passwords. Also, identity thieves may create fake profiles on social networks, pretending to be financial institutions and other businesses to lure unsuspecting visitors into providing social security numbers, bank account numbers, and other valuable personal information. To help avoid becoming a victim of a scam when using social media accounts, do not post any personal, confidential, or account information on the bank's webpage because the post could become public. Remember, reputable social media sites will not ask account users for social security numbers, credit card or debit card numbers, or bank account passwords. Review privacy policies of the websites and determine what can be shared on the site with other parties before posting information such as photos, comments, and links. Read what the policies say about whether and how personal information will be kept secure and options the user has to limit the sharing of information. Be cautious when using third-party apps. Review licensing agreements before granting access to third parties or websites. Sometimes these apps will grant access to information from your social networking pages to help you connect with others or build your network, but they could also be selling information to marketing sites and others, possibly even to people who might use the information to commit fraud. Periodically search to see if someone has created a fake account using your name or personal information on social networking sites. Now I would like to introduce Ed Hoff, a Consumer Affairs Specialist in FDIC's Consumer Affairs Branch. Ed will cover the last two cybersecurity concerns we will speak specifically about today: parenting tips to protect children from cyber fraud and safely using mobile devices.
Thank you, Heather. Please turn to slide 12. The special issue also includes the article For Parents and Caregivers, Tips for Protecting Your Child's Personal Information. Part of building a strong foundation for a child's financial future is taking steps to minimize the risk that his or her Social Security number, bank account details, or other valuable personal information will be stolen. Recent studies of identity theft show that up to 10% of children may have been a victim of someone else using their Social Security number. Social Security numbers of young children are valuable to identity thieves because the probability of discovery is low, as parents don't typically monitor their children's identities for fraud. The article shares these tips to help parents and caregivers protect young people from cyber-related identity theft. First, talk to your child about safe online practices. For example, discuss the possibility that someone can gather small amounts of personal information to guess the correct answers to security questions, reset passwords, and take control of financial accounts. Young people should be selective with their online friends and discuss how not everything they see on the internet is true. Second, secure electronic equipment. Make sure your child's devices, including video game decks, are configured to download the latest updates from the manufacturer, because they usually include security-related enhancements. Third, always ask why a company wants to collect data. Controlling access to a child's information is one of the best ways to protect him or her from identity theft. The Children's Online Privacy Protection Act requires websites and online services that are directed to children under 13 to notify parents directly and get their approval before they collect, use, or disclose a child's personal information. And lastly, look for signs of a child's identity theft and check their credit report. If a child receives several unsolicited phone calls or mail from marketers, it may indicate that personal information has been shared somehow. A parent may want to consider asking 3 major nationwide credit reporting agencies to check if the minor child has a credit report. If the answer is yes, the parent should review the report to find out if the thief has misused the child's name. Please turn to slide 13. The last FDIC consumer news article that we want to draw your attention to today is titled, Going Mobile, How to Be Safer When Using a Smartphone or Tablet. This article discusses how to safely use smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices. Everywhere you look, people are using smartphones and tablets as portable handheld computers. These small but powerful mobile devices can run software or mobile apps, conduct online shopping and banking transactions, and access email accounts and the internet. Unfortunately, cyber criminals and hackers are also interested in using or accessing smartphones and tablets to steal information or commit other crimes. Therefore, it is essential that your customers take measures to secure them, just as they would a desktop computer or work at home. In addition to some of the recommendations before on keeping your security software up to date, this article also recommends other basic steps to secure a mobile device, including always know where the mobile device is located and use a password or other security feature to restrict access. Activate the timeout feature on your mobile device when it is left unused for a certain number of minutes. As an added benefit, the timeout feature may conserve battery life. Back up data on your smartphone or tablet, either to a computer or cloud service offered by your mobile carrier. Install a data wipe program so that if your device is stolen, the so-called remote wipe feature protects data from prying eyes. If data on the device has been backed up, the information can be restored on a replacement device. Please turn to slide 14. I would now like to discuss the recent enhancements to the FDIC.gov website related to cybersecurity and offer some tips on how your institution can use the resources we introduced today. In addition to the FDIC's new resources, the Cybersecurity Special Edition of the FDIC Consumer News, and the Cybersecurity Guides for Financial Institution customers and for business customers, the FDIC has enhanced the consumer protection pages of its website. To access these pages from the FDIC's homepage, use the Consumer Protection drop-down menu and select Consumer Assistance and Information. At the Consumer Assistance and Information homepage, consumers will find useful resources on cybersecurity issues and many other topics. In addition, consumers can file a complaint or inquiry from this page. The updated cybersecurity page is another way for the FDIC and your bank to reach consumers. It summarizes ways to protect your personal information, as Kirk and Heather just outlined. The page includes PDFs of the FDIC's 2 new brochures, as well as the Consumer News edition on cybersecurity. Permission from the FDIC is not needed to copy and distribute these publications. However, altering text is not permitted. You will also find a link to the FDIC's video called "Don't Be an Online Victim." The FDIC places no limitations on including links on your website to its resources. In addition, the cybersecurity page links to educational resources in law enforcement agencies. For example, there are links to the Federal Trade Commission, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the FBI. Consumers can use these resources to report suspected cybercrimes to these agencies. Financial institutions are under no regulatory obligation to use FDIC's resources, but we encourage financial institutions, as appropriate, to make customers aware of the information found on these pages and other resources related to cybersecurity. As we stated earlier, strong partnerships between financial institutions, bank customers, and regulators are imperative to improving cybersecurity protections. The FDIC hopes that the resources discussed today will assist your bank in providing bank customers with information they need to help protect themselves from cybersecurity threats. Please turn to slide 15. This concludes our formal presentation. Now I would like to open the discussion to any questions you may have. If you have not submitted your question in advance, please email them now to cybersecurity@fdic.gov.
Thank you, Ed. I would encourage anyone that has a question to please submit it. We have a couple that have already come in. We're going to start with those, but you can still continue to submit. Even after the call, you can submit, and we will get an answer to you.
The first question is regarding a scam email. My customers have reported that they have received a scam email, but they do not know who to report it to. What should they do with the email?
In most cases, it is safe for the customers to delete the email without any further action. Internet scams are so prevalent, the reporting of each individual scam will not result in a direct investigation. If the consumer has suffered financial loss, they may want to report the incident to the Internet Crime Complaint Center at www.ic3.gov. This is a centralized complaint handling website managed by the FBI. The website collects the applicable information and provides information to victims on their options.
Thank you. The next question is regarding the Information Security Program. What laws and regulations require a bank to have an information security program?
Financial institutions must comply with the guidelines establishing standards for safeguarding customer information, as issued pursuant to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999, or GLIBA. The guidelines were published in the Federal Register on February 1, 2001, and effective on July 1, 2001. The guidelines require financial institutions to ensure the security and confidentiality of customer information, protect against anticipated threats or hazards to the security or integrity of such information, and protect against unauthorized access to or use of such information that could result in substantial harm or inconvenience to any customer. The guidelines required by GLIBA apply to customer information stored in electronic form, as well as paper-based records. Although the guidelines supporting GLIBA define customer as a consumer who has a customer relationship with the institution, management should consider expanding the written information security program to cover the institution's own confidential records, as well as confidential information about its commercial customers.
Thank you. The next question is regarding the FFIEC Information Technology Handbook. You spoke about the FFIEC Information Technology Examination Handbook. How do I access the handbook?
The Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council, or FFIEC, maintains an Information Technology Examination Handbook, which is comprised of several booklets, each on a different topic, and that are periodically updated and issued over time. Topics include audit, business continuity planning, electronic banking, information security, outsourcing, and retail and wholesale payment systems. The handbook can be found online at www.ffiec.gov by clicking on the IT Handbook Info base in the Supervisory Info section.
Thank you. We have a question regarding the FDIC alerts. You spoke about the FDIC alerts section of the FDIC website. How does my institution describe the FDIC alerts?
In 2013, the FDIC began publishing periodic alerts regarding cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities. They are designed to give FDIC-supervised financial institutions advance warning of potential vulnerabilities in bank computer systems generally, as well as tips on how an institution can identify and fix the problem. The alerts are available through our FDIC Connect Business Center, which is the secure Internet channel for FDIC-insured institutions to conduct business and exchange information with the FDIC. Each institution should have one designated FDIC Connect coordinator, so you will need to find out who that person is for your institution and request that they give you access. If you have questions about registering for FDIC Connect, you can also email our support team at fdicconnect@fdic.gov. I would also want to point out that these alerts should not be considered all-inclusive and not be relied upon as a sole source of cybersecurity intelligence. Each financial institution should have a program for gathering, analyzing, understanding, and sharing information about vulnerabilities and threats to arrive at actionable intelligence. Actionable intelligence can be gathered from various public and private sources.
Another question we just got emailed was, can we order the 2 new brochures, and if so, what is the cost? So the way we're handling distribution of the brochures is, rather than making printed copies available, is we're putting camera-ready art up on the website, and then banks can download that and print their own copies. That way you can be in control of how many copies you want to make and distribute. You're also able to put the bank's logo on the back if you so choose.
Thank you. The next question is regarding educational videos. Can you tell us more about educational videos on cybersecurity that you mentioned?
Sure. In 2015, the FDIC produced a video series titled Cybersecurity Awareness that is designed to assist bank depositors, or directors that is, with understanding cybersecurity risks and related risk management programs, and to elevate cybersecurity discussions from the server room to the boardroom. The first of 2 videos covers the evolution of data security, defines cybersecurity, and reviews the current cybersecurity threat environment. The second video reviews the components of traditional information security programs and discusses how elements of the program should be refocused in the current cybersecurity threat environment. The videos are available on our website, www.fdic.gov. Click on Resources for Bank Officers and Directors under the Regulations and Examinations tab.
Thank you. The next question is regarding the assessment tool. You mentioned a voluntary cybersecurity assessment tool designed to help institutions identify risks and assess their preparedness. Can you tell us more about it?
On June 30th, 2015, the FDIC, in coordination with the other FFIEC member agencies, issued the FFIEC Cybersecurity Assessment Tool to help institutions identify cybersecurity risks and determine their preparedness. Similar to a bank's information security program risk assessment, this voluntary tool provides management with a repeatable and measurable process to assess an institution's risk and cybersecurity preparedness. The tool is available at http://www.ffiec.gov/cyberassessmenttool.htm.
Thank you. We have a question now regarding teller training. In the terms of training our tellers and CSRs to handle customer questions on this topic, what points are best to emphasize?
Well, first, bank staff can hand out FDIC materials on this topic, the Consumer News, and 2 cybersecurity brochures. These products are free and can be downloaded from the FDIC website. Second, staff can remind customers about the basics, install and update antivirus software on their computers, be leery of unsolicited emails and text messages, and only connect to the Internet from trusted locations. And for more complicated situations, bank staff can direct customers or consumers to FDIC's cybersecurity page for additional resources. In addition, other agency resources can be found at the NCPW homepage. That's www.ncpw.gov.
Another question came in about the FFIEC IT Handbook. The question is, when I go to the FFIEC's website, I see the IT Handbook from July of 2006. However, I know there was an update in November of 2015. Where can I find that one? And I think what's happening is when you're looking at the FFIEC.gov website, the cover page for the IT Handbook is from 2006, but each booklet in there will be updated. They're actually, like I said earlier, updated over time. So as we complete one booklet, it gets issued, and there's a product called the InfoBase, the IT Handbook InfoBase, on the FFIEC.gov website that sorts them all out by topic. You can click on each specific topic. It'll take you right to that book, and what you'll see there is the most updated version of that booklet.
Thank you. We have a question now about the Consumer News. Is it possible to describe to the FDIC's Consumer News?
Absolutely. The Consumer News homepage at www.fdic.gov/consumernews has a link to subscribe. To receive an email about each new issue with a link to the newsletter, all you, your staff, or your customers need to do is provide an email address. Or to receive the paper edition of the FDIC Consumer News in the mail, free of charge, simply contact the FDIC's Public Information Center by phone at 1-877-ASK-FDIC. That's 1-877-275-3342, or by email at publicinfo.fdic.gov. The Consumer News homepage also has back issues that can be read, printed, or downloaded.
The question is regarding where you can receive the various information. If you turn to your slide presentation on page 6, it will have all the links on where you can obtain the information for the brochures.
FDIC's two new cybersecurity brochures, a cybersecurity guide for financial institution customers, tips to customers on how to maintain their computer systems safely, and a cybersecurity guide for businesses focused on commercial customers in a networked environment. Both brochures may be viewed at www.fdic.gov/consumers/assistance.
Thank you. We have a question regarding prepaid cards. You indicated that prepaid cards used by employers are covered by some banking laws. Where can our customers find out information regarding the current protections available to them?
A quick guide for consumers on credit, debit, and prepaid cards is available for consumers to print from the FDIC's website, www.fdic.gov. The guide can be found by entering its title in the search field.
Thank you. I have a question now about online safety. You mentioned the importance of teaching children about online safety. Do you have any other resources available regarding this topic?
Yes, we do. The spring 2015 or 2015 issue of the FDIC Consumer News is dedicated to teaching young people about money, including information regarding online safety. This issue can be read, printed, or downloaded from the Consumer News homepage at www.fdic.gov//consumer news. Repeated, www.fdic.gov/consumer news.
We also received a question about the FDIC Cybersecurity Assessment Tool. And the question is, as noted, the Cybersecurity Assessment Tool is currently voluntary. Do you see it becoming more of a suggested practice during examinations, or do you see it becoming mandatory? So for FDIC supervised institutions, the tool is voluntary. It's provided as an option, a tool that a bank could use to help assess its exposure to cybersecurity or cyber risks. There are other things out there, commercially available options that a bank could use. We're not requiring a bank use this FDIC tool over one of those, but a bank is required to use some sort of risk assessment to determine what their risk to cybersecurity is. And we would expect that our examiners would look at whatever it is the bank is using, whether it's the FDIC tool or some other type of tool during examinations.
We've also had a question about the slides availability. We'll be reaching out to individuals that emailed about that. Apparently there were some problems in the download, but if you did receive them, you have them. Otherwise, we'll reach out to you individually. At this point, that ends the question and answer piece, and I think that would wrap up our call. We want to thank you very much for participating today. We hope you have received some valuable information. Please check out our website, look at the FDIC Consumer News, and check out the brochures online. Thank you very much.
That concludes today's conference call. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.